All righty, we are live. Rich Harlan here from Hall of Fame Huddle with John Bozica, the legend on the microphone at WHBC. And we are
You're too
going
kind.
to be going over mostly girls basketball. We'll probably have a little bit of fun. I apologize to anybody watching the live stream because you got to look at my ugly mug the whole time, but we'll get that figured out here in the next couple weeks and get this ugly guy off the screen. How you doing, John?
Good, man. Good. I'm excited that girls basketball is back. I really am. It's been a it's been a while since we've been here, and the fact that it's taken this long to get back to this point, and it ended last year. I remember you and I did that podcast at your Hall of Fame huddle headquarters, and we were talking about how we had tournament play coming up, and then sure enough, how many days later it was completely called off, and we didn't get to go down and called kids off the floor. It's wild how long we've come since then.
Man, it is definitely discouraging to know that we were that close, and we went through all the we had all the we had the podcast and we went over all the teams, and unfortunately it just we didn't make it. So in the next coming weeks, I definitely want to get some of those coaches on that had to experience that firsthand down in Columbus. Walt DeShields at West Branch and Paul Wackerly at Glen Oak. I actually talked to him. Hopefully we can get him on next week. And then Dave Schlaball at Highland. Those guys, they had it way worse than we did. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think about West Branch all the time. They were out on the floor warming up. To be out on the floor warming up and then to go through that's just, that's murder on those kids, and I know that, Glen Oak was down there. I just talked to Jean Wackerly, Paul's wife, a couple weeks ago, and she was saying that she had gone in, checked them into the hotel, and then they got there and said, this isn't going to happen anymore. And, I mean, it's just, I can't even imagine that. The fact that you can't finish something that you've worked so long for. I know that the problem now is, is this even going to get going? A couple games in for a lot of teams, but a lot of teams have already called their seasons. A lot of teams are already questioning where it's going. And, it's going to be a hit and miss situation, I think, all year.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit as we go through this show. We got Nick Harris coming on with us here in a little bit from Bookville, and they haven't even got a game at all. I mean, some teams have got one game, some teams have got a couple. There are, we got teams like Copley that have played 6 or 7. I think Green's got 5 games in, but, there are teams that haven't played at all, and we're going to talk to Nick about that a little bit later. First, let's get started on some of the local basketball that we know the best. You guys do games periodically. I know you're going to hit some Federal League games, but are there some teams outside the Federal League in the area that you guys are looking to cover and maybe do some games?
Yeah, I mean, the 2 teams that I really looked at this year, and I don't think it's a surprise. I mean, one was Northwest. I know they returned so much from last year, and it's a team that made it to the district final last season and lost to a really, really good Norton team. I feel like they have the ability again this year. They played Jackson in their first game and gave Jackson, who's pretty good Division I team, everything they could possibly want. So looking forward to seeing them this year. And I know Tuslaw was really good last year. We saw them play against Elyria Catholic and gave them everything they wanted in a regional semifinal. First time they had ever been there. And honestly, Rich, anytime you have Henry Cobb on that sideline, it tends to lead to dividends for those girls. And I'm excited to see the growth of Brooke Stokey this year. I was really impressed with her last year as a big, and she's just got so much game. And the fact that she's a year older, year better, year more experienced, I think she could really be something special this year.
Yeah, I actually was at the Tuslaw Northwest game this Saturday, and Tuslaw had a 1-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and Northwest just kind of put their foot on the pedal and never looked back. but Brooks Dookie definitely looked better. I mean, she even in pregame warmups, she just looked like she was going harder. Looked like she's definitely gotten faster. I mean, she was pretty physical last year, but you can even tell that she's even made a improvement in that aspect as well. So she's definitely going to be a kid that's better than last year, and she'll have an even bigger impact. But yeah, that Northwest team is really good, and I talked to Coach Lauer periodically. I mean, they have a very solid starting five, and one of their best kids is still out with ACL, and there's probably no guarantee that she's going to play at all. The older Kudnick sister, but they got post players with Bottomley, the sophomore, 6'2", 6'3", and then Spradling to go with her, solid junior, and their guards are really good. Like the younger Ashley Kudnick kid is really good, and she's really athletic, and she can play. To go with, not real sure how to pronounce her last name, but Marichek, Jordan.
Yeah, Marichek, you got that right.
So I'm not wrong all the time, I guess. And then Gianna Kuhn at the point. I mean, they have a very solid, well-rounded starting five, and then they have some pieces coming off the bench. Another team that I really liked and I have seen is Marlington, and they are really good. I mean, they're going to give West Branch a battle on Saturday. That's probably where I'm going to be. But they're as good as they've been in many, many years. Again, they're really young, and they have a good starting five. They have, I mean, they got your prototypical 5-player starting lineup with post players, shooters, point guard. So they pretty much have it all, and they're really young. So definitely another team that I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I mean, I look at what they've got this year, and obviously, anytime you have an Evanich on your roster, you're in a good spot. And Chelsea being a younger player on that team, and some of the other kids that they have, Coach Sedulis always does a good job. I remember a couple of years ago when they had Robin Campbell, and you and I used to talk about them a lot then, and just how talented they were that year. And I always felt like because they're in such a that district that they're in is just murder. I mean, there's a lot of really good teams that come out of that district, that Uniontown district. And, getting through that, whether you have to beat Buchtel or whether you have to beat Norton or whether you have to beat, one of the powers that's normally in there.
Yeah.
It's not an easy test.
Well, I hope Nick isn't listening right now, but I can really see a Marlington Northwest District final up there this year, and when that happens, it's going to be pretty good. Matter of fact, I think they play each other in the regular season, so you'll have to take a look at maybe doing that game on the radio. But it's going to be two really good teams going at each other.
The 30th of December they play each other.
30th of December.
Yep.
That's why you're the expert, and I'm just somebody. I ain't got that type of memory. We actually have Anthony Butch coming on with us from Jackson. So we're going to talk to him. And, once we get off the phone with him, we'll go into the Federal League a little bit. I know that you and I have talked about the Federal League some in the last couple weeks. So we'll get Anthony on the phone here and then we'll talk about the Federal League a little bit. Anthony's a busy guy. He better pick up.
Hello?
Mr. Butch, how are you, sir?
Good, Rich. How are you?
Good. We got John Bazika here with me. He's the expert. I'm just the side joker, but
John, how are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Anthony? Good to hear from you.
Real good. You too.
Butch, I seen you guys last night. You guys obviously, and I know you've talked about this several times, even with myself and some other people, but you guys kind of had your high point last year. For the people listening and the people that are going to listen to this at any point, can you just kind of go through that with us of the year and what you guys achieved and why it was so special for you guys?
I mean, yeah, we won our first outright Fair League title in school history. We tied for one 40 years back, so it was I mean, a long process and a big deal to our kids and our school and our community, and something we worked really, really hard for over the 12 years that I've been in the program. And we had a 19-game winning streak. We were actually undefeated in the Federal League, and reached number 3 in the AP poll, all school first, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice validation for all the work the kids put in.
Now, you guys, nobody has won the Federal League since I think it was 2013, 2014 season when Hoover won, besides Glen Oak and McKinley. And you guys actually went through a time where you had, the best player that you've ever had with Taylor Mikesell, and you still couldn't get over that hump in the league. What did it take to kind of get to that next level for your kids last year?
Well, it speaks to how good the league is, and to get to that next level, we needed, a more well-rounded team effort, and I think in fairness to Taylor and those teams of the past, I think the league wasn't probably quite as strong as it was those years that we had Taylor, when you had, the Kirsten Bells and McKinley and those great teams at Glen Oak, and even Hoover in those years had a lot of players that are playing at the next level. So I think last year's team definitely was top to bottom the best all-around team that we've had, and to compete in the Federal League night in and night out with the physicality of it and the high level of coaching and just the grind that it is. You need a team that's well-rounded, mentally tough, and we kind of checked all those boxes last year.
Which I know in talking to you, last year throughout the season, because you and I talked so many times throughout the year when we do games and stuff.
Yep.
But I know in talking to you that, one of the things was winning that Federal League title, but then also, trying to make noise back in the tournament again, losing the way you guys did. What did that do for these girls coming into this year? What kind of taste did that leave in the mouth in the off season?
It left an awful taste in our mouth, and it was a very embarrassing way to end such a great season, and it really motivated our kids through the off season and moving forward. And I think that to come out like we did in our home opener against Hoover was also disappointing because of the way the season ended. And I feel like if we could have played them, a few more games into our schedule, it could have been a different outcome. But it is what it is, and it smacked us in the face early. And I think we have come out of that Hoover game that we lost a few days ago, and I think, as Rich can attest to us last night, we're more focused and back to playing the way that I think all of us know that we can play.
I know that no matter who's in the Federal League, you guys always play a tough schedule regardless of which team it is. But I noticed this year, Coach, you guys have Newark on the schedule, you have Solon on the schedule, you have Highland on the schedule, you have Warren Harding on the schedule. This isn't the Jackson schedule that we saw last year. Is that by design?
Absolutely. We wanted to boost things up a little bit, and we kind of took an approach that we're going to challenge ourselves in conference and out of conference, and for as long as this season continues, it's going to be a night in, night out challenge, and hopefully sharpen us and get us ready for a better outcome towards the end of the season.
And I saw last night, I think the biggest difference, and I don't know if you're going to agree or not, but when I watched you guys play Hoover, there was a lot of one-on-one. I think that it was way more than last year. I remember seeing the game at Glen Oak where you guys were doing some really nice basketball stuff, and most of the buckets were assisted on. And I didn't see that at Hoover. It just seemed like there was a lot of one-on-one, but last night that was not the case. And if anybody thinks the win against Waynedale is not a good win, they have never seen that team play. Brooklyn Troyer, Kelsey Wolf would both start on every single Federal League team. And there's no doubt in my mind about that. The Murphy kid would would start on most Fair League teams and come off the bench on even the better ones. So last night, you guys definitely got back on track, but we did talk after the Hoover game, and you mentioned that you were definitely disappointed in all aspects. And what was the message to the team, and what was the focus that you had to fix after the Hoover game?
Well, I mean, the Hoover game, we had 4 or 5 assists as a team, and last night we had 18.
Mm-hmm.
So that speaks to exactly what you said: the ball movement, the passing up a good shot for a great shot. Some of the parts of that Hoover film, when you go back and watch it, it looks like you're watching an NBA game where it was just, everybody standing around and watching one person go one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And that's not a recipe to win too many Jackson Hoover games. And so we clipped a bunch of film clips from last year's team and kind of put them side by side with that Hoover game and showed the girls, what good basketball looks like and what not so good basketball looks like. And from the result last night, it definitely got the message across. The girls responded, give them credit for their coachability and 3-day time span to kind of change that quickly. But it needed to happen, or else our season was going to be heading definitely in the wrong direction. And to speak to Waynedale, they're the real deal. They're every bit better than the outcome of that score. And I think people from afar look at that as, big Division I Jackson beating up on D3 Waynedale. But that's a really, really good team, very well coached, and a lot of talent across the board. And honestly, we shot the ball really, really well, going 10 for 20 from 3. You're not going to lose too many games shooting like that. No.
And again, Waynedale's they're going to be a regional team. There's no doubt in my mind. I know the Tuslaw people probably aren't going to like me for that, but when them and South Range will be in Dayton out of that regional. So people will find out as the season goes on that that Waynedale game was definitely was not just a walk in the park for you guys.
Coach, do you think that this year, I know that, again, last year, another thing, you guys shot the 3 ball so well. You were making like 10 a game. Is that something that you expect to be such a high clip this year? And would you like to see it that you're not living and dying by that shot quite as much this year?
Yes, we led the entire state of Ohio in 3-point field goal makes. And that was something that, we were proud of because we put up a heck of a lot of shots, and it just kind of, shows that you put the work and the time in, and the results are going to come. And if we can get those standstill catch and shoot threes, I like our chances against anybody. But as you saw in that Hoover game, in that tournament, 8 months ago we went 1 for 21 and lose by 20, and our season's over. So we definitely have it in our minds not to just live and die by the 3. And we have some other little things up our sleeve to try to get more shots around the rim to kind of balance things out. And I feel like this year it's been a nice balance so far. We're about 50-50 twos and 3s versus, I don't know, last year probably 70-30. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I know that part of last year too was also development for a lot of girls. I don't want to say that last year was almost a year ahead of schedule, but was last year almost a year ahead of schedule?
Yes and no. We had 2 pretty weathered seniors, and Carrie and Deese and Rachel Strand, and you mix in the underclassmen that stepped in, and Emma was all state as a freshman, and she was a sophomore. So even though she was only a sophomore, she definitely went through a freshman year in the Fair League and knew what to expect. And we had 3 juniors last year that are now seniors. So maybe it was slightly ahead of schedule, but we definitely, I think, we're ready for that moment last year and should hopefully continue to be this year.
One more question before I ask you about some of the kids, but when I interviewed you before the season, one of the questions I asked you was about replacing Carrie Ann. How do you feel like that's going? I know Lauren's hurt right now. I think you guys lack a natural point guard, but through 3 games, how do you feel like that's going replacing Carrie Ann?
I mean, it's been quite a large task. Probably, quite honestly, a larger task than we even anticipated. We kind of had a by committee approach between Lauren, Hallie Ignacio, Megan Campbell, and even Lena Padabando playing a little bit of point guard. But the probably the most telling thing is how for granted we took Carrie Ann taking care of the ball. I mean, she played 31 minutes a game last year and averaged under 2 turnovers a game.
Wow.
Which you really like don't even realize what that even means until you start turning it over probably, more of an average pace of, 5-6 turnovers a game from our point guard, which I think is probably in the more typical range. And then in the Hoover game, we had 9, which is, way too many. And it just shows you like what a asset Carrie Ann was at that point guard position for 2 seasons, and even that sophomore year she had with Taylor's sidekick in the backcourt. So she brought a lot to the table that we definitely miss.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we all know your big 3: Pallotta, Palabandia, and Dredke, which Emma had a great game last night. I mean, she really started the game hot and kind of carried you. But one kid that everyone may not know is this freshman, Megan Campbell. And I know her minutes, are not extensive right now because you do have a pretty solid upperclassman, but I think this is a kid that's going to be really good and maybe the best kid in the federal league in her class. What can you say about Megan and where she's at and where she could be?
Yeah, Megan's going to be a real special player, and she already is. She's worked her butt off the last 4 months, probably as hard as anybody, and has probably improved as much as anybody because stepping in as a freshman, especially at the guard position in the federal league and the teams that we play, is not easy at all. And the one thing that I think stands out to all of us as the coaches talk is her poise. I mean, she has the poise of somebody that has played, a lot more varsity minutes than what she's had. I mean, she doesn't panic in some of our big scrimmages. We can watch her composure and her ability to step in and knock down shots consistently and confidently. I mean, she really was the one last night that hit the 2 backbreaker threes back to back that kind of took it from, I don't know what it was, 10, 12 points up to 18 and really put the game out of reach. And as she physically matures and gets older and gets more reps, I think you hit it right on the head. She could be one of the best players in that class in the federal league.
I hate to compare anybody to Taylor Mikesell, but I think that she shoots the ball when we're talking about just jump shooting. I think she shoots the ball just on the same kind of track as Taylor did when she was that age.
I'll take that as a compliment, but I mean, we will. I don't know. I don't even know how to respond to that.
Well, we have several years to find out.
Exactly.
Coach, when you look at,
go ahead, John.
Sorry, Rich, I was going to say, Coach, when you look at the growth of Lena and Lauren, you and I, again, something we talked about all year last year was, kind of watching them grow as freshmen. Now that they're sophomores, is it kind of, I mean, it's still the same process of watching them grow, but where's their confidence at now to kind of do things on their own, maybe take the ball and make a play on their own and not worry so much about, I don't know, worry about the outside noise of what's going on? Are they more confident within themselves now this year?
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think they're both still in the process of learning and growing. But I think, the experience they got last year is definitely, evident, and they're not, that freshman with the deer in headlights. Lauren was, primarily at the wing last year, and now she's taking a lot of point guard responsibilities, which is new to her and something that she's getting used to. She had this AAU coach that I was hoping to give her some more reps at the point over the summer, but he was forced to play her more of a different position on his team. I don't know who that AAU coach was, but
But he has a red beard.
Yeah, and an ugly mullet. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Hey now. Frankie's got a better hairdo than you do, so I don't want to hear it.
I'm not going to deny that. But no, John. But yeah, they're both they're both special kids that are going to definitely be playing at the next level, and they're learning and growing every day, and they're both fun to coach.
Do you have a kid this year, Anthony, who's kind of like your glue that holds everything together? Do you have a girl, if you could point that out, who that would be?
I mean, I think all three of the seniors really, I would say, is the collective glue as far as they've all played significant minutes now for 3 years. And Ava Scruggs, Alana McMullen, and Kylie Hawk, it's kind of, a three-headed monster that all, complement each other really, really well. And they all, set the tone for us effort-wise, and they're definitely the leaders on the team, and all play, significant chunks of minutes. So I'm not sure we have that one per se person, but those three have done a really nice job.
Coach Butch, one last question, and we'll let you go. I know you're probably trying to put Frankie to bed here soon, but
he's been in bed an hour and a half ago.
You got a good wife. She takes care of that for you.
Exactly. 100%.
Make sure you tell her hi before you forget tonight from me. I seen her yesterday, but they were pushing us out. They don't want anybody congregating after the games, but you got a big game coming up Friday against Glen Oak. A lot of people are going to be, if not watching it, keeping an eye on Twitter and seeing what's going on or watching live. What is one focus for you guys heading into that game?
Oh boy. One focus, just handling that environment and coming out with a better mentality than we did against Hoover. I mean, we're going to Glen Oak, and they're gonna definitely be ready to go and amped up, and they got a pretty strong three-headed monster, and Breezy, Anaya, and Jordan Weir inside. So offsetting those three and just coming ready to go and competing and playing hard, play together as a team, and see what happens. It should be a great environment. Should be a really, really high level basketball game, and should be a lot of fun.
All right, Coach. I appreciate your time, and you are officially the first guest that we've had on the live broadcast ever. So we'll make a plaque and we can get it up in your office.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All
Thanks.
right.
It was an honor. And give John a plug because he's going to be doing the game Friday, right, John?
We will. It'll be on the radio.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll be talking about that before we get done then.
Yeah, radio. So everybody check that stream out as well, and follow John. And he does a great job broadcasting the games, and he's a great asset to girls basketball, as are you, Rich. You guys both do an awesome job, so thank you both.
Thanks, Butch. Good luck Friday.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.
See ya.
John, I've said this a couple of times already this year, but I really believe that the Federal League is as good as it's been from top to bottom in several years. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good basketball this year. I think everybody kind of has a go-to kid. In the cases of, your upper echelon teams, your Jackson, your Hoover, your Glen Oak. I think McKinley could probably be in that conversation on the right night when they're, functioning on all cylinders. But, you look at Jackson, they're so deep. We just heard it there. They have Dretke, they have Pallotta, Patabandala, Scroggs, McMullen. I mean, the list goes on and on as girls who can play. Glen Oak, I mean, you can't talk about the Federal League without talking about whatever Paul Wacker, these kids are going to do. They just always come so well prepared. And the fact that, last tournament, Breezy and Jordan Weir kind of figured themselves out. And I'm going to say this too, Rich. I think that the two seniors on that roster that see a lot of playing time, well, the three seniors, I should say, but the two that are seeing more playing time this year, I should say, and Metz and Kleptach. I think that they're underrated how good they can be. Filling the shoes of Vance, Green, and Lemire is tough for anyone. But those two and Anaya Hall, that's not a bad haul coming back up.
Yeah.
Anaya Hall has the game to be the best player in the league if she wants to. She's got so much game to her, just not only inside but also what she can do defensively. I think that really is what speaks volumes. And then Hoover, Coach Allarding, she just she continually churns out a good product. Kate Hobbert's such a hustler. Emily Walker is coming into her own. Lena Collins is a good ball player. I know some of the younger kids on that roster are starting to figure things out a little bit this year too. And as I said, if McKinley figures it out, Terrell and Foster were there for the Bell runs when she was there, and they know what it means to play high level basketball. And if those two are working on the same night, you and I have talked about it, Rich, that's a tough out. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, just from what we've seen already this year, McKinley gave Hoover everything they could handle. Took them to overtime. Then Hoover turns around and beats Jackson convincingly. Those four, I mean, McKinley's going to be better, much better than last year. And that just rounds out that top four. And then even below that, Perry has 4 wins already. Green's got 4 wins. And Perry gave Glen Oak everything they could handle. And that's a bottom half team. Just from top to bottom, it's going to be pretty tough.
We've talked about this though before, and we talk about this every year when we do games too, Rich, that look at Perry last year. I mean, they were, considered to be towards the bottom of the league, and they go up to that, Ravenna district and they win a game or two, because they play such tough competition. I mean, they go up there and they give Stowe everything they want, and Stowe was the top seed in that region or that district last year. So it speaks not only to the level of play that these kids see down here, but it also speaks to the level of play that these kids are taught at down here. I really do believe that, we always say that we're kind of blessed in Starr County with the level of girls basketball, but that continues to be reaffirmed every year.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I think Hoover's really, really good. I was really excited for that game tomorrow. But Hoover's quarantined right now. So, we're going to have to wait to see that one. But that game is definitely going to tell us a lot about the league from right now, the top 2 teams. So,
and I was going to say, I think just like last year, I mean, I think you're going to be at a point too where, you learn some during this part of the year. You learn some in the regular season, but then once the postseason starts, I mean, teams, we've seen it the past 2 years. Glen Oak and Hoover, kind of go into a different gear in the postseason. I think the biggest thing I'm interested to see this year is, will the tough schedule allow Jackson to find that different gear this year in the postseason as well? I think that's if they're able to do that, I mean, they're the deepest team. I don't think there's any argument there. It's just, can they find that?
And right now, it's hard to know anything. We got 3 teams in the Federal League that are quarantined: Hoover, Lake, and Green. So that's just the world we live in right now. And we're actually going to welcome Nick Harris in with us here in a second. And he coaches at Bookdale, and they haven't played 1 game yet. So let me get Nick on the phone real fast, and we'll kind of start a discussion about how things are going with COVID this year.
Hello?
Nick Harris, how's it going, my man?
Hey, how we doing, Rich?
Good. I got John Bazika here with me, and now we got you. How's it going?
Oh, well, I'm doing very well. Happy to be on the inaugural, live broadcast.
Yeah, you better say that. We just got done talking about the Federal League, and it led us to kind of acknowledging that 3 of the 4 teams are quarantined right now, just in that one league. I want to kind of talk about what you guys are going through at Bookdale. And I also just kind of want you to be part of the conversation when it comes to this, because you're in the thick of it right now. So I know you guys got postponed literally 3 hours before tip, after already being postponed several weeks. Can you just kind of go over what's happening up there at Bookdale? I know the other Akron public schools are going through the same thing, but from your perspective, kind of just let us in on what's going on up there.
Absolutely. So at Akron Public Schools, we weren't in the gyms in the fall. So when they had fall sports going and cleared, our football started a little late. We made a change on board. We weren't allowed to have open gyms, lifting, etc. So we were kind of on our own. Girls were on their own. Us coaches couldn't host things. We then were able to finally start. When the season started, we were about a week behind. We were able to get into the gym and start practices and hold tryouts. But we were told at the beginning we wouldn't play until the beginning of December. Our first games couldn't be until December. All November games have been wiped out. We also
Which made you change your schedule quite drastically.
Absolutely. We lost about 4 games. We were going to play in St. V's. They had an invitational, et cetera, some top-notch competition. I heard you talking about Hoover. They were on our schedule at the beginning of the season. That was somebody we were going to go play, test ourselves against, see where we were at, et cetera. We also weren't able to scrimmage, right? So no scrimmages. We haven't played live basketball against anyone yet to this day.
Jeez.
But, yeah. We get tested. So when we do begin playing, and when we were going to play against CBCA on Thursday, we have to get tested the day before. So everybody on the coaching staff and the roster receives a COVID test. They have to get tested, test negative to be able to play. No test, no play. That was actually the sorest thing. We were set to play CBCA on Wednesday, but that freak snowstorm caused a snow day on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which closed buildings, which didn't allow us to get tested, which pushed the game back a day, which is when the county color changed and we went to purple. So it's been tough. We're now in a place where we're allowed to practice 2 days in a row, and then we have to take a day off. We're on a schedule of that right now. So we actually just practiced our last 2 days, and we'll take tomorrow off, and then Thursday and Friday we'll be back in the gym. Sunday off, etc.
Well, you got any big plans for your day off?
Nordonia's playing Copley, I heard. That's something I'd like to possibly wander over to. I've got a couple girls from Ladies First that play there. Copley's a district team, which, by the way, I heard your district comments.
Gosh dang it.
Get back to those eventually. I have a couple of strong feelings or thoughts. But
I figured I was caught as soon as you said you heard me talk about Hoover.
Yeah, I'm going to pay attention, man. When you're finally going to get on the mic, I'm not going to miss it.
That's why, Rich, if there's one thing that you learn being in the radio profession is you don't say things that you don't take back, that you can't take back. You gotta be careful. Choose your words carefully, my man.
I'm not taking it back. Nick knows that he's my guy no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it.
So it's part of the gig.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, I know that, coaching during these is so tough, but I know that part of the other problem of coaching during COVID, because we talked to so many coaches during football doing games and such, and the one thing that they often said was making a connection with the kids on and off the field was, at times literally impossible. What are you doing to still make sure that you're a factor in the kid's life off the floor just as much as you are on the floor during this time?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it can't be overstated, the impact of sport, school, what our kids need, the kind of influence we're able to have is important. And we're lucky enough that we have a group of young ladies who have been in the system for years and known us for years. We have a heavily laden senior and junior team and presence. So a lot of leaders and a lot of relationship and rapport that's been built up over time. So we've done what we could do. We've done Zoom. We've held meets. Social media has been useful. Our senior leaders, when we weren't able to participate in any live workouts, have taken it upon themselves to host things safely during the measures. or do it, over phone and invite people over it to hold each other accountable, etc. We make sure. I just sent out something the other day that was about identifying stress and then specific strategies to combat it, right? Because we're all in a different situation. We're stuck at home. We're isolated. We're dealing with new challenges, and we got to be able to recognize it and come out in a better place. Like, we're going to get the opportunity to play again, but we got to be ready to play when that comes. And that's a lot more than just physical, obviously.
I think,
go ahead, Rich.
I think the toughest part, and, I'm not in it like you're in it or your kids are in it, but I've been to 12 basketball games. Every game I've been to, I have not seen one person without a mask. I have seen very adequate social distancing. Nobody's hanging out after the games. It is possible to do this and keep people in a low, very, very low likelihood of getting sick. It's very possible. It happens almost on a daily basis. There's boys playing today. There was girls last night. There's going to be a bunch of girls games tomorrow. That's got to be tough for your kids to sit here and watch their friends and their, some kids from the same city. I think St. V is quarantined now, but they had already played several games, knowing that it can be done, but for whatever reason, Akron Public just wants to, be extra stringent.
It's, and it's a safety measure, right? We appreciate the care for the kids, us, and ensuring with the testing. Like, it was heartbreaking to say we're probably the only team in Northeast Ohio that could tell you definitively that none of us have COVID, and we're also the only one that couldn't play that day. Like, that was hard. Like, you got seniors calling you in tears, talking about not being able to have the opportunity for something they've worked for and then gone out of their way to be safe and avoid things, etc., to ensure they could test, negative. It's tough, and it's tough for them to see it. We use it like you do with anything, right? The sport is building these kids to be prepared for life, right? And life is not fair, and life does not work for you. Even if you do everything right, sometimes it does not work out, and it sucks. But the quicker we can get that through our head and keep grinding and keep growing, the better chance we have being successful when when things come up.
Yeah.
So that's what we do with it. That's all we can.
And that's great leadership. I know you personally. I know you pretty well, I think. And kids need that type of leadership because it is tough right now. And to get that reaffirmed from their own coach that I know that they're close with goes a long way, I think.
Well, and we're set to play December 17th. As of now, we aren't. Akron Public Schools hasn't told us nothing. They've said we're hoping for December 17th. If a couple things turn the way they should, we have schedule set up. We're looking to play. So we're going to, prepare as if we're going to play and do everything we can. And, eventually, hopefully, we'll get to display all this work we've been putting in for such a long time.
Yeah. And John, I wanted to ask you, because you have your morning show every day from 10 o'clock to 12 on WHBC. And I know that you're active with the health departments, not only in Canton, but in Akron, and also city council and mayors and that type of stuff. I mean, where do you stand? Do you feel like we're doing it right as right now, as we're playing some, and then we're shutting down when need to be? Or do you feel like there's something that we could do better?
Yeah, we had the lieutenant governor on today, and Lieutenant Governor Houston was very detailed about, saying that ultimately what it comes down to is that, you basically just have to continue to check yourself like you did during football, and continue to just be very cautious, very careful, make sure that kids are wearing a mask, make sure that there's no extra congregating, make sure that you're not, having excess crowds, and sometimes I think that's easier said than done, because it's one of those things that, we all went to a game this year football wise, or we all went to some sort of sporting event where it's like they said, oh, well, don't congregate afterwards. Well, if, if your son is the quarterback and he throws the game-winning touchdown at the end, it's kind of hard for parents not to all gather around him and want to give him credit. Or if, you're at a basketball game and a kid hits a winning shot, it's hard not to, come and give them the credit and want to talk to them and congratulate them. So, I think a lot of it is just changing behaviors. That's, the biggest thing that when we've talked to Jim Adams from Kansas City Health, when we've talked to, different doctors, even, you listen to the national doctors, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, whoever it may be, they just say that it's about, changing your behaviors and realizing that, things are not normal this year, but hopefully next year they will be. And hopefully next year you're able to have a normal Thanksgiving. You're able to have a normal basketball game. You're able to, see your grandparents on a regular basis. That's, all of that has to be factored in. It's almost like, you go everywhere. You're like you're walking on, like quicksand could be right next to you where you're going to step because you don't know when you're going to sink into something. And that's, that's the toughest part of this is not knowing what that next step is going to hold.
Well, Nick, I want to thank you for coming on. I know it sucks. Your situation sucks. And
well, hold on, Rich. I appreciate that. But what was your district final?
Like I said, thanks for coming on, Nick. No.
Let me get it once more so I can show it to the girls specifically.
I said Northwest and Marlington are my top twos in that district. Now you might get lucky and Northwest and Marlington have to play each other in the semifinals. And then you could rub it in, especially if you get payback on Norton.
Hey, if anything happens this season that I can call lucky, I'll be shocked and I'll accept any and all things. But we got a group of girls that have cut down a couple sets of nets in their careers that have a certain level of pride that I'm excited. I've watched Northwest. That's a heck of a team. Put up 100 the other day, gave Jackson all they could take. Marlington's always well coached. I love all live streams, by the way. If there's one silver lining of COVID,
there you go.
Availability to watch more games. But I appreciate hearing from such a regional expert like yourself. I appreciate that, Rich.
I want to say this too, though, Rich. I want to give my guy at Bookdale a little bit of credit here because being a Firestone kid in high school, I mean, I always roll with the City Series. So
yes, sir.
Hey,
always,
Nick,
always, baby.
Nick,
See,
I picked you last year.
City guy. I know you did, and we won the one before. Last year was a disappointment. We got a lot to come back and avenge. We're looking forward for the opportunity.
Well, you made me look like not a regional expert last year. So if you make me look like not a regional expert again, I will still be happy with that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on, honestly.
All right, Nick, we're definitely rooting for you, buddy, and we can't wait to see you get on the floor.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care, guys.
All right, bye. Now, everybody's making comments on Twitter about this basketball. I don't know if you're watching, John. Yes,
yeah,
it is a miniature basketball, guys. I don't have like 12-inch hands, and it's actually autographed by the second best Laker of all time, Magic Johnson.
Dang.
Second only to the Mamba himself.
Man, that's dude. Do you ever just think about that? Everything that happened this year, and that was part of this year. Losing the Mamba was part of this year. I mean, that's I have to sit and think about that on occasion.
I try not to think about that a whole lot, but you can't help it. But maybe one day I'll have a podcast about that whole experience going out to LA for his funeral and whatnot. But
I'd like to hear that.
Right now, we're actually going to move on to. We're going to go north a little bit. Tomorrow we have a big matchup, a big rivalry matchup between Magnificat and Cleveland St. Joe's. St. Joe's Academy outside of Cleveland. And we're going to have Danny Gallagher, the head coach of Mags, join us right now as soon as we can get him on the phone. And bear with me as you can probably hear the ringing. I know he's listening.
Hello.
Big Dan, how are you, sir?
Rich, how you doing tonight, man?
Not bad. Hey, I got John Bozica here with me, and we want to know about the big rivalry game tomorrow.
Oh boy.
But first, let's talk about the streaks a little bit. We just got done talking about the Buchtel situation with COVID, and you guys had your own. Kind of let us know where you're at. I know the season started late for you guys, and just kind of give us an update on where you guys are at now.
Well, I'll tell you, today was the first day we had every kid available in practice.
Okay.
So we started the year. We had a couple individuals that were in quarantine. We went a few weeks. Everything seemed to be going well. Then we had our first positive case, so we were shut down. About 7 days into that, I actually caught COVID. I don't know how I did, but I did. We had a couple other coaches catch it, but we were all in quarantine, so it was interesting. But so we got through that. We came back. Everything's been fine. Since we came back, we've been back over 2 weeks now, and got to play our first game, as you saw last Saturday, against Newark. And we were thankful to be able to play.
Well, let's back up just a second. You said that you caught COVID yourself.
I did. Yeah.
I know one of my close friends that had it, and then you, and then I know there's a couple other coaches. So, I mean, it's not real prevalent, for at least from my experience, to know somebody has it or had it. Can you kind of go through that experience with us and tell what was it like for you?
I would say I was one of the lucky ones, definitely, that had pretty mild symptoms. It started off one day with just like the world's worst headache. It was really bad. And that went away, and I just didn't feel right for a couple days. But like I said, I was in quarantine, so I didn't think much of it. And then probably at about day 5 and 6, it was a couple days right before Thanksgiving, the body ache started and the chills started. I never had a fever, never lost my taste, never lost my smell, never had a cough. So all the main symptoms I didn't have, other than the body aches, and they were pretty bad. I mean, it was 2 nights of, just some big time body aches and pains. But I know people said for a while that you weren't supposed to take ibuprofen, but I did, and that's what worked for me, and I got through it, thank God. Yep.
This may not be the right question to ask, but most people know that I'm not real good at censoring myself. Was there any time that you were just like, shoot, like I'm really, really bad? And we all see the cases where people were in the hospital. Was that a reasonable fear for you at any time, or did it never get that bad?
No, for me, no. It was never that bad. The people who say that you can compare it to the flu, maybe it's like the time frame of the flu, but I would definitely say that the body aches associated with COVID were a lot worse than any body aches that I ever had with the flu.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a little bit worse. Like I said, I was definitely one of the lucky ones, though. I mean, I've seen a lot of people, struggle with it. So I'm happy that I was able to get through it as easily as I did.
So tell us a little bit about this rivalry. I know you've been telling me for years it's a huge rivalry. I know the schools are really close to each other, right?
Yeah, they're less than 2 miles apart. The nickname of the rivalry is actually the Battle Over the Bridge. So there's the Hilliard Boulevard Bridge that kind of separates the 2 schools. I think the uniqueness of the rivalry is that it's 2 all-girls schools. So I went to St. Ed's. Our big rival was St. Ignatius, and I would say those, St. Ed's, St. Ignatius, Magnificat, and St. Joe's Academy, they're the 4, big Catholic schools, up in this area. And, they're just unique because they're single gender schools. So when you have 2 schools that are that close, you get a lot of crossover. with best friends in grade school, going to one place where the other best friend will go to the other place, and then all of a sudden they're squaring off in high school sports. It just creates a fun, unique situation where when you're at the games, we won't see this year, unfortunately. Where it's wall to wall people, it's packed. Everyone wants to be there. It's a great atmosphere for the kids. It's a great atmosphere for both school communities, and really brings everyone together.
How do you change your?
Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, Coach. Yeah, how do you change your coaching style maybe a little bit for a year like this, or is this a year where it does have to be a lot more, kind of by the book of knowing exactly what you want to do? Like, is this one of those years where you don't stray away from that book, or is this one of the years where you try some different things?
It's funny. I talked to our seniors after practice today, and I just said, every day is different. And, as the head coach, our seniors laid out, their goals for the year. And our main goal for the year was to make it to Dayton. So we have that's out there, and then you have just the simple goal of surviving every single day and being able to play. So I told him, I said, it's, each day as the head coach and my assistants, are right on board with me on this. We're thinking about the kids' mental and physical health and getting them through every day and making it a fun situation, while also still keeping in mind, we're hoping that we're going to have this opportunity to reach this end goal at the end of the year. So, I think it's just something different every day, and you have to judge, your kids every single day. And if they come in and they're just having a bad day because, they were online school, or they've got finals coming up, or, whatever it might be, you might have to adjust that day. So, at first, the first couple of weeks of the season, I was, really set into, hey, we came up with these goals. It's to get to Dayton. That's what we're focusing on. And I found out fast it was just too hard to think about that sort of goal every single day, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, some of the main pieces on that St. Joe's team, Ava Haddad, Ellen Neitzel, Charlotte Adler, I know that you are pretty close with them and their family. How does that for you kind of add to the rivalry?
It's funny because you're right. And, because of the closeness of the schools, I'm friends with almost all of their parents.
Okay.
They're all really good people. It adds to it because, you enjoy it when you're on the outside looking in on it. But, now all of a sudden last week, I haven't talked to any of those people.
Yeah.
So you keep your friendly, healthy relationships, of course. But then when it becomes game week, it's game week. You want to win, no matter who you're against. So they're great kids. They're great families. They're all great people. I hope we go out and play really well and win tomorrow. But, of course, I wish them the best and wish them, safe, play the game safely and come out of the game healthy.
Are you telling me you don't have any kind of friendly wager or bet with Big Neitzel?
No wager with Neitzel. Him and I talk a couple times a week all year long until we get to this week. And
it's Hush Week.
It'll take a few dates afterwards too before one of us budges on that. But it's all in good fun. In
a normal year, obviously this is just not going to be what you would normally see at this game. For somebody like me, I'll be up there tomorrow. If I'm coming into that game in a normal year, what would I expect? Walking into that gym, what would it be like for someone who is not part of it but is coming into it?
You'd see both schools with big student sections, probably in different themes or different costumes, right behind the bench. I would say both gyms probably seat around 900 to 1,000 people. Every seat will be full. There'll be standing room all over the place. So it's just a really fun atmosphere for the kids. And you can tell, with our kids that they were bummed out just talking about it today. But we know, that, hey, we know how important it still is. And, no matter how many people are there or how many people are not there, it's dependent on what we do to create our own energy to be successful.
Yeah.
Coach, I was wondering, because we saw you guys last year in the regional semi against Eastlake North. I know that was probably not a taste that left a game left a very good taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
But what's it going to take to take that next step? You said the goal is Dayton, so what's it going to take to get down there?
We talked about it immediately after, and unfortunately COVID came and we couldn't get started till about June. But we talked about what we did last year to get to regionals. It was way more work, much more time, much more effort just to get to regionals. We lost in the district semis the year before. So, we laid all that out. We laid out everything that we did. And the kids know and understand, this got us here. Now we got to go 2 more games and we don't know who we're going to play. So we know we got to work even harder, and it's got to be a buy-in from everyone every single day. Someone's, you got to be doing something, not just what we do, not just what's scheduled, not just when a coach grabs you after practice to get extra shots up or get extra time in. It's got to be a lot on your own, physically and mentally to prepare for that. I think we were not, as much as we tried to play good teams and be in different events. I'll say that the Civic Center, I guess it's a place where shooters go and die, man, because holy smokes, we had some problems with that. And it's a beautiful venue, but just that, like we bulked up our schedule big time this year. Unfortunately we weren't able to play some of the games, but we were playing in Journey to the Tourney. Originally we were going to play 2 games, 2 games in the Classic. We were playing in Rich's event. And we were playing, what we felt was a schedule that was going to give us, 7 or 8 regional type games before we even get there. So, the year before we had a really good schedule. It wasn't that good. So, between adding more to our schedule, making sure the girls know, hey, individually you have to put in way more time than what you did the year before, and bulking up our game schedule, I think will give us a chance to do it.
Danny, I'm going to be up there tomorrow, like I said, and I plan on going up there early to do some DoorDash.
Okay.
Make some money while I'm up there. Where should I be working tomorrow? Yeah, I know you dabble in that a little bit. Where's the hot spots for me?
It all depends. On your way up, I would start like in the Strongsville, Berea area and see where that takes.
Okay.
That's not all that far from where St. Joe's is. So on your way up, that's where I'd start.
Sounds like a plan. And I definitely got to give you a shout out. When I went to Vegas, Danny is the guy that he literally let me park at his house so I didn't have to pay for parking. This man drove me to the airport, picked me up when I got home, and I didn't even know when I was coming home. So tomorrow I will definitely have your case of beer for you.
Well, I appreciate it. Just being on the inaugural show here was enough. So
I think it's going well so far. I don't know. Like I keep saying, John's the professional. He's going to be working for CNN or Fox one of these days, but we'll keep him on this as long as possible.
Well, what's going on in Summit County? Are all these schools having to shut down? Or
I think most of them are. I know Stowe shut down, Hudson shut down, Akron Public's already shut down.
Yeah. Okay.
John's a Summit County guy, so he could probably talk to somebody up there to let us play some basketball. I don't know.
I know people. I don't know people that well. I think that I was telling Rich earlier, Coach, that I just think that the key is just, getting cases down, getting things to a point where it is kind of, calm again, and then maybe you can reassess. I think that they're probably going to treat it like they treated football. That if they can get it to a reasonable level, part of the issue is that you're going to the holidays. If
Sure.
basketball started 2-3 months later, it'd probably be ideal. Starting basketball in February would be ideal this year, but unfortunately, that's not how the calendar works. It's just one of those things.
Danny, I do have one more question for you.
Sure.
I'm taking Mackenzie up to Cleveland right before Christmas to go see some Christmas lights, and we're going to watch some. I got a condo up there, and we're going to watch Christmas movies, and she loves Christmas lights. So I know Cuyahoga county fairgrounds has some. Where else should I go?
Yep.
Downtown.
I would take her downtown. Yeah, take her to Public Square. There's a lot down there. I think the Rock Hall's got a nice setup going down there. And it's not too crowded down there right now. So, yeah, I think Public Square would be a great place to take her.
I'll probably be texting you here in the next couple of weeks to get some more suggestions.
I'll keep an eye out. Have some better information for you by then.
All right, Danny, man, we appreciate your time, and good luck tomorrow. I'm definitely excited to get my first taste of that rivalry.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. And thanks to both of you guys for everything you do for girls basketball. I know I greatly appreciate it. I know our girls appreciate the coverage. So please keep it up. And Rich, I'll see you tomorrow. And John, hopefully I'll see you at the Canton Civic Center again this year.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I want to see you guys there.
I appreciate it.
All right, Danny, have a good night, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
John, we get to talk to some really cool people. I don't know. This is just the first week.
It's, I know that there are some plans eventually to try to hook a Taylor Mikes onto this, maybe get a Kirsten Bell out here, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to take us all the way to the top. I'm trying to get Brianna Stewart on here. Last time I checked.
Oh, well, we can take it to the top. Right now, we're going to take it to Northwest Ohio.
Ooh.
We're going to check in with Michael Hearn. And I don't know how this is going to go because Mike is a nut, and he likes to talk, and he's funny. So we'll get Mike on the phone real fast, and we'll see what he's up to.
I like it.
We got to figure out a way to get this noise off the phone. Mike, you better answer, Mike. Mike is standing us up. John, I think we got our first stand up.
Oh, look at that.
I'm gonna go with Plan B.
What's Plan B?
I'm gonna call Nolan Dwyer.
You do that.
Good thing I got connections up there. See if Nolan can come through. Come on, Nolan.
Yo.
Nolan, I gotta warn you, buddy. You're on live here, so don't say anything too stupid. This was not planned, but Michael Hearn stood us up, and we're supposed to be talking Northwest Ohio basketball, so you get the call, buddy.
Okay.
We got John Bazika here with us. Are you familiar with John?
I'm not.
John's he works at WHBC over here in Canton and does a lot of girls basketball. So we're all of the same passion. And I like Northwest Ohio so much. I wanted to make sure that we get Northwest Ohio on the first show. So here's my question to you, Nolan. Give us some teams from up in Northwest Ohio that have legitimate chance of making some serious noise, and people from all over the state need to know who these teams are.
Yeah, I think at the Division I level, I think it's pretty clear cut, right? You got Notre Dame Academy is returning quite a bit with Olivia Sims as the leading guard committed to Oakland. You got Grace Van Sluten, a nationally recruited one of the top players in the country, which I think most are familiar with. And then you've got kids like Allie Ray, and they've got a nice bench, just nice blend of depth to their program. And, you know, they replenish that stock year in, year out. So that's always going to be a program that you're going to have to watch out for. But Allie Ray's their point guard, senior leader. She just committed to a D2 program out in New Mexico. So, like I said, that's going to be a program that you're going to have to watch. The program that I
wait. Did you just say Allie Ray committed to New Mexico D2?
Correct. That just happened tonight.
Are you serious?
Correct.
All these D2s in Ohio, and they let her get out of the state, out of the whole region.
That kid's going to do well no matter where she goes, but I'm as surprised as you.
It's crazy.
Yeah, she's a dog. You don't want to be in front of her. So that's a team that, you know, they've made deep runs before. They were at the Final Four last season, and expect them to be going deep again this year. But you got a couple other teams that are really tough this year. They've got a nice blend of both talent, young and old. One of the teams that's going to be looking to knock them off for sure is Northview, Sylvania Northview, that is. You've got 2 senior guards leading that program. Actually, I think 3 with Carly Maple as well. But the 2 lead guards, one's committed to St. Bonaventure and Casey Baumhauer, one of the best slashing guards we have in the area, and I'd venture to say the state, as well as one of the top sharpshooters as well, with Taylor Stacy, who's committed to Cedarville. So that's a program that I like them. They don't have as much size as a Notre Dame's going to have, or your typical D1s, but they're led by exceptional guard play, and they've got pretty much most of their team back from last season, and they're healthy. So that's going to be a dangerous team that they played Notre Dame tough last year, and I expect them to make some noise come tournament time as well. And then the other team, I think, at the D1 level that's really a cut above the rest is probably Perrysburg. They've got probably one of the best slashing wings in Northwest Ohio with Macy Stringfellow. She's a 6'1" forward that, she's as athletic as you're going to find. She moves well. She hit the game winner last year in the district final. They lost to, I think it was Notre Dame in a close one. So, and that might have been in the regional, or that was in the regional. So I expect them to go pretty deep this year again as well. Kylie Griggs is their point guard. She's committed to Pitt for softball. They've just got a nice team that they've got some nice forwards. Perrysburg's known for its size. This year is no different. They replenish them year in, year out. Bella Valiant is another forward that kind of came onto the scene. She got some minutes last year and had a big game against Bellevue early on, but for the most part came off the bench this year. It's kind of been her turn on the inside. So expect to see her take a step forward as well. But those would be the 3 teams at the D1 level that I would be keeping an eye on in particular.
I know you got Napoleon out there, and I know a little bit about them, not as much as you do, but give us a little idea of Napoleon and any other lower division schools that would be able to make some noise.
Yeah, so with Napoleon, I think most are getting familiar with them at this point. They were undefeated last year before the season ended. They were in the Final Four, and quite frankly, really didn't get tested too much at all throughout the year. They returned most of their starters. I think they lost 2. Shea Pedroza went on to Lords, and they lost at least 1 or 2 other starters. But for the most part, it was a young team to begin with, and they returned that roster that year. That roster's turned over, and they've all got a year under their belt. You've got a couple that are 3-year starters in Kaylee Ressler and Taylor Strzok, who's committed to Cedarville. They're exceptional forwards that give versatile size. They can guard up and down the lineup 1 through 4. They can hit shots. Kaylee's a little bit bigger than Taylor at about 6'1" or 6 foot and long. And then Taylor is just more of a bruising type wing that is just tough. She rebounds. They both rebound, but she in particular isn't afraid to get into the paint and get her hands dirty. So that's a team that is got some veteran leadership. They've got some nice young talent. Emma Pedroza is going to step into one of the starting roles, and expect to see her take a big step forward this year for them. She can really shoot it. Nice lefty, can stroke and put it on the floor. Has good vision, above average vision off the bounce. So as far as a guard that can create, she's one to watch. And then they've also got a sophomore, Sophie Chips. I think she's going to be a really, really good one as she continues to develop. She's going to be undersized. She's only about 5'3" or 5'4", but she's really tough. She puts in the time in the weight room. She hits big shots. She's not afraid to go get her nose into things, and I wouldn't want to play against her if I was on the offensive end of things and with her defending me. So that's just a kid that isn't afraid to get up into somebody's crap and defend them. So that's a team that I think they're going to return pretty much everything, and they're going to look to make a pretty deep run again this year. They're in the same league as Northview, so it'll be interesting when those two get together to see how they match up and stack up against one another whenever that happens.
How many teams up there are actually playing right now? I know obviously around the state, every region and every area is a little bit different, but what's the percentage of teams that are actually playing up there now?
Hard to put a percentage on it, but Lucas County is not playing right now, so you've at least got those teams taken out of the mix. Lucas County is going to cover all of Toledo down to about the river, so Bowling Green would be outside of Lucas, as would anything west of I'll say the 475 loop, if you're familiar with that. So for the most part, it's sticking to the Toledo area, moving east. And those schools are all shut down. Everything else, for the most part, to my knowledge, is playing, unless schools themselves have chose to shut things down for individual reasons, whether it's a district policy or it's a COVID breakout, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm. Do you know, would you say going into the season, we were, a little over 2 weeks into the season, has there been any noticeable surprise up there, whether it's a team or a player or anything that's kind of just, taking you more than you've expected?
I can't say there's been too many big surprises this far. It's a young season, and a lot of teams haven't even got off the ground yet. Others, are just getting in their first or second games before they're going on break. So there hasn't been too much that's been surprising yet, and I'll be the first to admit it's been a little bit harder this year to follow than normal. But that being said, one performance that did stand out to me was Marissa Seiler, 2022 guard out of Wauseon. Junior put up 35 or 34 against Maumee, which Maumee's not the best team in the world in terms of defensively or offensively, for that matter. But nonetheless, 35 at any level or 34 at any level is impressive, and she put up 25 in the first half, making it look quite easy. She's a known commodity. Her older sister was one of the league guards on that Fayette team 4 or 5 years ago that got down to the regionals. And her brother also was a starter on those Wauseon teams that were really moving the needle a few years back. So the bloodlines are there. Be interesting to see how she tracks throughout the year, especially against better competition. But that was a performance early on that definitely caught my eye.
Well, Nolan, I want to thank you. I know this was not planned. This was literally off the fly. And Mike Hearn kept trying to call me afterwards, but I have no idea how to connect when someone's calling me. So I want to thank you, and we'll probably check in with you every couple shows and, see what's going on out there, if you don't mind.
Not a worry. Sounds great.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You guys too.
Bye. All right, John. You got this big game Friday. Oh, son of a gun. I hung up on John. Let me get him back. That's a rookie mistake. Everybody can make fun of me for it. Sorry, John.
Hey, what's up?
I accidentally hung up on you.
No, you're good.
Oh.
You're learning.
Whoa. That was I almost made it the whole show without hanging up on you. I just could not have gone through perfect, could I?
Well, it's hard to throw a perfect game.
We got this big game on Friday, Glen Oak Jackson. Did you do both games last year or just the one at Glen Oak?
No, I did both games.
Did
last
both?
Year. Yeah. I think that, second one was an example of Jackson's defense was amazing in that second game. I mean, what they were able to do and what they were able to accomplish and just how they, shut down any attempt of Glen Oak to shoot that 3-point ball was the most impressive thing. And then in the first one, Nia Hall kind of had a big day for Glen Oak, even though they fell short. So I think the big matchup becomes, how does Jordan Weir affect this game differently this year? She really wasn't in her own at that point last year, and she's clearly a lot more comfortable underneath the basket now and just continues to get better. I mean, she's probably the quietest 6'5" girl in the state, and she just plays with such a great ability and has so much. And I really think that it's going to be a challenge for Jackson to defend her, because the one thing that Jackson lacks is size. They're able to, if Glen Oak's able to use that size of Hall and Weir, it could be a long night for Jackson. It really could.
Yeah, with Pilata being, it's still uncertain whether she'll be playing or not. For anybody who doesn't know, I mean, it's not much of a secret that she's not playing right now, but she fractured her ankle in the preseason. She played the first 3 games on a fractured ankle, thinking it was just an ankle turn, and it just wasn't getting better, so they got it checked out. But, I mean, how tough is that kid playing on a fractured ankle? And
Dude, if your last name is Pilata, you're just born tough.
I think she was averaging about 15 a game too. When I talked to her, and it to me, it was when I watched her, because I did see the Green game and the Hoover game, I could tell that she wasn't as explosive as she was in the summer. I didn't necessarily know that there was anything wrong, but it was, for someone like myself that had seen her shoot 30 games this summer, I knew I could tell that she was missing a step a little bit, but nobody knew that she had that injury. She's definitely going to be a big part missing if she's not able to play. If she does play, I can guarantee you she's not going to be 100%. But whether she is or she isn't, it's going to make a big difference.
Well, when you and I have talked, I mean, I think when she plays well, they play well. I mean, they have a lot of talented kids. Emma's really talented, and Lena can play such a big role on that team, and just the other names that we've talked about, the young freshmen they have coming up that's really talented as well. But ultimately, I really think as Lauren goes, they go, because she's kind of the I don't know, to use a cliche, she's kind of the straw that stirs the drink, and that's you look for that, and she does it so well. And it kind of comes with the bloodlines. I mean, you look at the Pilata name, and there's always a talented Pilata wearing purple and gold somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Where could people hear that game at on Friday?
Yeah, so if they go to just the terrestrial old school dial on the radio, they can hear the game there.
People still listen to the radio?
They do. You'd be surprised.
Actually, I do. I'm actually getting a taste of my own medicine here. You know how much I text you during your show when I'm listening. I'm getting hammered with text, and it's not a problem, but I'm getting a little bit of my own medicine here. So I now know how I make you feel. Hopefully I'm not the only one that does that to you.
No, you're not. And I'm used to it by now, but you joke that you say no one listens to the radios and say you should listen to some of my callers. But
oh my goodness.
It's it'll be on radio on Friday, 1480 WHBC, and then online WHBC.com, and 7:30 tip, and just hope we get there. If you happen to be watching on the stream or you happen to be there, you'll see me. I'll be in the corner wearing a mask and maybe wearing a face guard as well to protect myself from the impending doom that is COVID-19.
Well, I will be there. You can promise that. I can promise you that. I'm not going to miss that. Anytime I can get any girls basketball game on a Friday or Tuesday, let alone a huge conference game. Not only am I there, but I'm jacked up all day. I mean, I'm not used to getting a game on a Friday, so I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be excited about it, and we're gonna see two great teams playing.
It's a game that deserves a Friday night. It really does. Like, I mean, there are certain games you're like, that game deserves to be on a marquee night. This game deserves to be on a marquee night.
And then Saturday we got Marlington. I think they're traveling to West Branch. I'm not 100% certain about that, but it is probably, if not the top two teams in the EBC, two of the top three. So we're gonna have two straight days where we get local conference top teams against each other. So it's gonna be a great weekend here.
A lot of good basketball always. It's just starting too. We're not even 5 games in for a lot of these teams, and you know who you're going to see at the end of the year. The usual suspects always show up at the end of the year. It's funny how that always works out.
Well, John, it was a great first show.
It was.
I want to definitely thank you for taking this journey with me. I know we've kind of talked about doing some things over the last year or so just to do more for girls basketball. So I can't think of a better guy to do this with. I consider you a good friend, and you're, as I've always said, and anybody can attest, I think that you're outstanding at what you do, not only on talk radio, but calling games, whether it's basketball or football. You're outstanding. So
thank you. I appreciate that. And I know you don't get enough credit for what you do too. You put together the most comprehensive girls basketball website of anybody I know. So, that's really can't say enough about that. I use your website more than anyone else's website during the girls basketball season. So
awesome.
It's a go-to for me.
Well, thanks. Well, next week, I think we're going to get Paul Wackerly on here. We might be able to ruffle some feathers next week with him, because there's some things that I don't know if Paul's ever got a chance to get things off his chest or kind of tell his side of things. But if we can get him on here, I'm certainly going to let him do that.
Always great to let Wack say the things that he wants to. Always love that.
I know I'm going to check in next week in Central Ohio. We're gonna have Emma Irwin up from 270 Girls Hoops in Columbus. She's gonna call. We're gonna have her on the line next week. We'll see. Maybe after that West Branch Marlington game, we can get Stadulis or the Shields on the line, whoever wins, and we'll just keep doing great things, man. We got a lot of great girls basketball personalities in the area and around the state, and definitely one of our goals is not just to hammer home Canton or Stark County. We want to definitely make this thing statewide and give anybody around the state the recognition that they deserve. So, John, we're gonna do great things. And again, man, I appreciate being your partner in this, and you're always a great help.
Well, I appreciate you asking me, and look forward to the weeks to come. I know that we heard Nolan mention Notre Dame Academy. I'd like to hear from Coach Galloway. He's always a fun guy to talk to. So,
absolutely.
Discussions are going to be aplenty here, and I appreciate you asking me to do this.
From now on, this week I'm going to work on getting something else on the screen besides my ugly mug for an hour and a half. I don't like it, and I know everyone else can't like it because I am one ugly dude. Some people say I do have a voice for radio, but I certainly do not have a face for TV. I have no idea what to do with my hands. I feel like Will Ferrell.
If you're not first, you're last.
Exactly. And hopefully I can get rid of this ringtone when I'm calling people, or maybe we'll figure out a different way to do that. But at some point we can get these things where you and I are together. And then maybe we could have some guests in with us. But again, great hour and a half. Thank everybody who tuned in. This is our first one, so I think maybe these will stay on YouTube and everybody can go back and listen. But again, thanks to everybody. John, you have a great night, and maybe I'll hear you at 10 o'clock tomorrow. But everybody out there, be kind, do good things for other people, and don't be fake. Bye, John.
See you, man.